Speaking of reliability, a podcast with good friends talking with you about reliability engineering topics. Welcome to Speaking of Reliability. This is Fred Schenkelberg.
And this is Kirk Gray.
Hey, Kirk. Once again, we're chatting about this, that, and the other thing. And I mentioned something about planned obsolescence. And you're like, what in the world could do that? And I said, well, we recorded one with Diana a couple weeks ago. And, and we talked about this, that, and the other thing. And I told you the story, which I mentioned to Diana, about my grandmother's cast iron bolted to the floor. Very simple washing machine that lasted
very simple
years.
Right.
And you're like, you were just going to launch into a story and like, oh, I got to get the recording on this.
Well, we were talking about washing machines, and they're heavily mechanically dependent on mechanical wear, motor, gears, and all those. As I've talked about in the past, the mechanicals do wear out. There is a consumable material being taken in each wash, especially if you have a very unbalanced wash. Man, that just shakes that machine to crazy levels, moving it across the floor. Okay, so
that's why my grandmother had hers.
You were saying that all these manufacturers know that 10 years, exactly 10 years, if they have it 10 years and worked for 10 years, the customer will buy another one after it fails after 10 years.
That was one brand. Did the research for their brand, and they found for their customers that was true. Now that may have changed. It was 20 years ago. Some brands, if you pay twice as much money for the same kind of functionality, and it's a brand that's that is highly regarded as reliable, and it fails in 10 years, you may be upset. It's the balance is what's the expectation from your customers versus how long does it actually last.
Right.
And price point makes a difference. So if
price point makes a difference, right?
In some things, when everything else is equal, but somebody will pay $200,000 for a Lamborghini, and
which requires much more.
It's not going to last as long in any circumstances as a Toyota Tacoma year 2000.
No, it's going to be a maintenance nightmare, just like my brother bought a Jaguar XKE at 12.
What was wrong with that?
V12. You can't keep it tuned for more than 5 hours. And it's or 500 miles, and it's out of tune. So, it's just that's kind of. But
so price isn't the only criteria.
It comes with right. Well. Okay.
It comes with a cool factor that it is. But if let's say you're buying a washing machine for a home.
Yes.
Right. And you pay $200 for one, and it's got a horrible reputation and everything else, but you're saying, hey, it's less expensive. I just got to wash clothes. I don't need all the bells and whistles, everything else. And it fails in 5 years. Well, you're out $200. You buy another one. Right. But if it's a $500 one, you may expect it to last for 10 years. And it may not even be a conscious thing that you think of, but you go, I don't remember when we got this. Oh, it's 10 years old. I'll get another one of those. And it's 500. So it's the duration of how long something lasts is part of the value proposition. Did I get my money's worth out of it? And so that's the rough relationship between price and expectation. It's not always there. There's other factors like cool factor, and this is the.
There's cool factors like energy efficiency. There's energy efficiency, like
and there's
the
many
current
other
washing machines, high energy. Our systems are. I forget the initials on it, but they're very low water usage, and they're called HFE or something, high efficiency. Things, and they've got a label on them. Anyway, we bought the house 10 years ago. Here's my two washer and dryer that I believe were installed by the owner because this was a rental exactly at that time. Now they have features, and that's the great thing about them is that they have improved features as far as use of the water and mixing whatever, but they've lasted 10 years. Now I don't expect them to fail next year. But you would, because according to the manufacturer already planned and has charts and distributions on what components are going to wear out, and he makes sure that they go to 10 years, no matter how many times the product is used. That's
Well, if
kind
you
of what
put
you're
it in a
saying.
laundromat, I think you're out of their models. But the
Well,
idea
right.
is that they have 40 years of historical data, right? They stay, and the brand I'm thinking of stays pretty close to the repair centers, and for the longest time had their own repair centers. And so they
Yeah.
got, over time, they've accumulated the knowledge of what works and what doesn't work and for how long. But what made it pivotal to me was that the marketing guy said, if it lasts 50 years, it's very unlikely they're ever going to buy another washing machine. They might,
Well,
but
I've
if it
been in those
lasts,
situations, right.
yeah, but if it lasts 10 years and it fails, they found that that particular brand, that particular customer set that they were selling to at that price point said, well, the probability of them buying the same brand again after 10 years and it fails is very, very high. Now, it's the same with cars. Somebody buys a car and they love it. It just works. And it has the features they want and it has the ride they want. They're very, very likely to go back to the exact same brand.
Yes.
But if they have a lemon, then there's people that buy Fords, and I don't understand that at all. They just like working on their car, calling tow trucks and stuff. But that's just me.
Well, there's a lot of other reasons that, you buy a new car. As I talked about the safety features, we went from seat belts to airbags to anti-lock brakes. All those things would be motivations, not because the car is failing or getting old and wearing out, but the fact that the new cars have many more features that would help save my life if I were ever get hit by a drunk driver or something like that. So,
oh no, there's all that. But let's go back to washing machines, though. Right?
Okay, let's go back to washing machines.
You've got these new washing machines in your house. It's 10 years old now,
right?
And so, but you own it, right? You own the house.
I own
the
it.
washing machine. So if that thing does fail, at 11 years or so, what would you do to go buy a new one? Would you look at that brand again?
No, I look in Consumer Reports. That's the only thing I trust, is that they have some feedback from consumers and tracking the reliability. And every year they send out a survey to their readership and members. So a lot of people fill those out. Now it's, not totally scientific or statistics, but it does.
And then
give
they do internal testing and do comparisons and stuff
exactly.
like that.
But they can't do that for 10 years. They'll ask you about your cars and things that you own and over time. And so that's a good way of understanding. But also I'd look at features and energy usage, energy efficiency, size, whatever, type, top loader, front loader, all that crap.
Well, yeah. And also, just the size of it, will it fit in your laundry room kind of thing?
Right.
I have a pretty tight fit
to
get it in. But let's say Consumer Reports, the overall best, most reliable, best set of features, just works, lasts forever. Customers are exceedingly happy with it. And it's $5,000. Would you buy it?
Probably not.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Well, that's part of all the engineering trade-offs in manufacturing any kind of good, is how long, especially mechanical. Okay, how would you buy $1,000 a car tire that lasts 150,000 miles?
Geez, the chance of me getting to 150,000 miles is going to have to be a long ambulance ride.
Right.
That's the only thing that's going to work for me.
So 100,000 miles or 50. What are they? Some of them go to 60, 70,000. I think the warranty.
Yeah.
But yes, not all price doesn't always mean doesn't always correlate with reliability.
No.
We just talked about it with expensive cars. We look at those.
My grandmother's washing machine proved, sample of one, of course, that it can work for a long, long, long time with. She never had problems. The switch always worked. They never replaced the circuit board on it. They didn't replace bearings. They didn't do anything to it. It just worked.
Oh, I lived this kind of problem with Vico Instruments back in the 80s when I was selling mass spectrometers, helium, what they're called, helium leak detectors or helium mass spectrometers. And Vico had made early in the 60s or 70s a very robust Even though it had tubes in it. It was called the MS-17,
Ooh, the MS-17.
mass spectrometer 17, and it
Here's their
was the size
17th
of a
try.
wash. Yeah, I don't know what happened to the other 16, uh, but that became a incredibly robust, like your grandmother's or whatever washing
Yep.
machine. It was very heavy. It was about the size of a small washing machine, and it rolled around, and you could use it. And they were incredibly reliable, so reliable that Vico had a hard time selling new at their new designs, even though I was have a size of a tabletop. I could
Hmm.
actury carry it around. It was
But
less than 50.
if it works,
Right. And I
why
remember
replace it?
I remember Stony Brook, I think in New York, when I was calling on a guy there. He says, "I want exactly one of these," and pointed to his MS-17. He says,
Uh-huh.
"That's what I want," and I said,
We don't
We
make
don't
them
make that
anymore.
anymore." Well, they had such a problem with that they actually bought it back, and they actually offered a trade-in
Hmm.
uh, value to get those off the floor, and they didn't go recycle them. They were
Yep.
gone
It's because
and
now we sold them one
eliminated from
that'll,
the population.
yeah, and then we sell them one that'll fail in 10 years. Keep you repair guys busy.
Yeah, I don't know that. Of course, I didn't stick around that long to
Yeah.
see whether that's true, but there certainly were a lot of huge benefits and features in the head. The smaller one had a little walk around remote control that you could walk around the device and you didn't have to listen for it.
Hmm.
You could see what the rate of leakage was. It was just all kinds of nice features to it that
Hmm.
besides being reliable, or for sure, at least one time I was demonstrating in front of a bunch of IBM engineers. Uh, I had brought it in from my car and set it up, and the filament in the ionizer had failed. Well, that
Hmm.
was a common wear out mechanism, like a tungsten filament.
Yeah.
And so I quickly demonstrated how quickly I could repair it in front of them, where I actually took the panels off and replaced that filament, got it started again, and
How did you get their hands out of it? They're probably, what's this? How's that work? Where's this go? You know what
yeah,
it's like with a bunch of engineers.
they kind of stood by and watched me take off the ionizing chamber and put in the filament, and I had it back. And you know what? That's why I sold them.
Yeah,
That sold them, and they said, "Okay,
that
we."
wasn't in your training manual to do.
Well, because I'd repaired them previously before becoming a sales engineer,
Yeah.
I was probably more skilled than most at
Yeah.
doing that and working on high vacuum equipment.
Yeah.
So that helped. But it was also made very for serviceability,
Hmm.
unlike today where, and I think that's one of Apple and other iPhone or not app, smartphone companies are doing, because their phones, except for the battery, have more life than, they'll be technologically obsolete. Like there's lots of flip phones that I'm sure would be able to turn on, even though
But they can't connect to the network
yeah, because
anymore.
there's no 5G or whatever. They're not able to. So technology a lot of times drives the obsolescence and destruction or non-use of a
Well,
product. And I think
the
your grandmother's washing machine was probably great at doing one thing, but it wasn't good at handling delicates or doing short
well, she
cycles
did
or
that in a bucket in the sink and hung it out outside. I mean, and she didn't
yeah,
have a dryer.
yeah,
Everything was
exactly,
outside.
exactly.
If
You
you're
had
doing a bunch
cross
of
lines.
denim and wool, and it's not wool, denim and cotton,
Yeah,
washing machine works just
right.
fine. But nowadays, I know Diane she sorts out the laundry, and it's
Oh no.
she knows most of it by feel or by familiarity with the
Uh,
products. But it's reading labels and like
uh,
what are these things? Where does this go?
yeah.
What's the
Well, Stacy's just the opposite. If you can't throw it in the washing machine, and
and it fails, then it's gone.
if it, yeah, if it requires reading a label, forget it. It's
Yeah, no,
not.
I'm with
It's going
Stacy
to
on
be
that.
one. It's going to go through one wash. I'm not going to sort.
That's
Just
right.
like for her, washing dishes is like if it doesn't fit in the dishwasher, it ain't going to be in our
We're
house.
not gonna. Oh no, that wouldn't work for me. Well,
So
I mean, there is a big trade-off and balance between, price point, expectations, feature sets,
Right.
and some products, and for mechanical products, but
for
all
mechanical
kinds of products,
gears, things, and you can track that. You can make models that show you when that material will be so worn that it'll break a
very
gear
likely
tooth.
to fail. Yeah.
It's going to break
go.
the lubricant's going to wear out, whatever.
Yeah.
So yes, that's true. But the electronics behind all that, I don't think in the controls of these
See there, I knew you were going to go to that. And I knew it because
that they have that the manufacturer said, well, this IC is going to fail in 10 years.
No. I've got 3 examples now that you're thinking of it. I don't remember what car it was. It was back from Germany. I bought a car when I was stationed back in the States. And we ran it for about 2 years. And it would run about 3 miles and then go to idle and then stop. And so as soon as it hit idle, it's like, oh, it's doing it again. I'd pull off the road. And it would do that like 2-3 times a week. And so I finally took it into a shop and he says, oh, it's this chip. We have a whole stock of them because it always fails. And it was poorly designed. It was just in the wrong place for what it was. It was just a custom chip. So you had to go get this $200 part and $400 of labor or whatever it was. And they'd replace it. And it would work for 2 years. And then he said, now you got this replaced, sell this car because it'll start and they can drive around the block and they'll be fine. But it will fail again pretty quick. And I'm like, oh, bother. Okay. So that's one. 2, in the last 2 houses, the house I'm in now and the house prior to that, we have a furnace in the house. And in both of them, it wasn't the blower, it wasn't the fan, or the gears or the motors or any of that stuff. In both cases, it was the control board that failed. And that's just solid electronics. It's not a power supply or anything. It's a control board panel. And it wouldn't hold temperature, and the other one, it would intermittently just turn off. It just turns on, and then it would say, no, I'm not playing any more today. And then it would go off.
Right.
And in both times, the technician came in to troubleshoot it and said, yeah, I know this model. It's the control panel. And he said, here's the diagnostics, ordered another one, put it in it, and it's fine. But you can't say electronics don't fail. They do.
No, I didn't say that. I said, let me say, a well-designed, well-centered electronic control board is.
Well, we're not. That's the issue, Kirk, is we're not doing that anymore. We're letting a contract manufacturer design the thing as cheap as possible, build it as quick as possible, and then not protect it from ESD at all. Not code it for a hazardous environment or uncontrolled environment. I've worked with clients that they show me their boards and says, where's this located? Where's your customer?
Right. Oh, yeah.
On a pole, definitely. Outdoors on a pole.
I'm not saying that they're not bad designs or poorly tested designs or designs that do not have an inherent latent defect that will shorten its life. But I'm just saying that if the product, if the circuit board is designed nominally and it doesn't change, and I've heard of clients saying, "Oh, they sent us a lower grade component after we qualified it."
Oh yeah, I hear that a lot too.
That's no, they didn't send you a lower grade component. What happened is a guy came to procurement and said, "I can provide you this
same form, fit, and function."
It's a counterfeit component. It came off the test rejected bench.
Chart.
Yeah. But hey, look, it works, and it worked for 2 years, and then it failed.
Yeah.
And okay. So that's not intrinsic. Intrinsic. No, people make mistakes. Yes, electronics fail. No question about that. But I think that if you look into, and if you were to investigate it, you'd realize that they had a poor design. And
they had a poor design, poor margin,
and they didn't want to find out.
And they didn't control their supply chain. They didn't control the manufacturing.
Exactly. All those
like
things.
That.
All those things are facts.
It does take all of those to get it right. I don't disagree with that at all.
Okay.
The issue is that it's the perception that electronics is simple. If you're not on the cutting edge of technology and all these new WYSIWYG and super high speeds and all that other good stuff, it's just a control panel. We needed to put 4 volts over there and do this and do that.
Right.
And we'll put a timer chip in it, and there's hundreds of options, and we don't even want to design it. We'll let the kid out of school just that's his first project. That'll be fine.
Okay.
And it's the trade-off, and then they're surprised why their product fails. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Whereas the opposite, what we started with is this company that said, and they were making very robust, very good. They had a nice, solid brand reputation for reliability, and it just worked kind of attitude.
Yep.
And they said, we could shave that back a bit. We don't need to aim for 20-year or 30-year or life of the owner or life of the house or anything like that. We want them to actually buy more of them. And we've investigated it and found this relationship between, if it lasts just long enough to meet the customer's expectations, they'll probably buy your stuff again. And I saw a paper, it was out of Germany, or out of Europe, doing a survey like that. And it was, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago that the paper came out. Let's see if I can track it down. But the kind of going to the same thing is that the meeting the unstated expectation of how long it should last is a significant factor in repurchase, in which brand they repurchase. And they went through the paper was not just white appliances, it also talked about, consumer electronics and phones and all kinds of other stuff, and even garden tools and power tools and chainsaws and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so it was, and they acknowledge that there's other factors, familiarity with the product and how it works, and where's the on button,
right,
stuff like that, and set of features and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, going from the battery technology, lithium ion, from our old nickel cadmium, things changed, quite significantly, and that would be enough. And it's just like we talked about cars, safety systems. To me, those things are and with iPhones, of course, I think they've kind of plateaued with their
features.
Really. So now they're having to really just trade in. You get all these phone companies saying, we'll give you a free new iPhone 16, 15, whatever latest model is, because nobody's trading in their phone.
And it works.
It works.
I saw a spoof video the other day. It was on LinkedIn, I think. The iPhone 75, and it was 4 feet long. It was as narrow as a regular phone, but it was 4 feet long. It's a self-defense device. You pull it out and use it as a sword. It was a sporting implement. Use it as a bat. For tennis and stuff.
It's got a foldable top head so that you can use it as a ping pong.
Right. It was, you can use it as a step ladder. It went out of that.
That's good. That's hilarious. But that's true. They're running out of what can you do with this little device? I mean, okay, we build in Apple Intelligence or whatever, AI, I don't understand that, because yes, I guess the chips, maybe, the NVIDIA graphic chips are in there. I don't know, but that's what AI is. I mean, that's what AI is using.
They got one of their own chips in it, but it's powerful enough to do enough of this. I don't know exactly how it does it, because the bandwidth hasn't really changed, right?
Yeah,
we still got gigabyte-ish speeds, or less with phones, but they need to move a whole lot of information. And I think it's the technology, and this is just a guess on my part, somebody I'm sure we're listening to this probably knows, is that they do a whole lot of compression and have sorted out what is the essential pieces from an AI request that you can get a reasonable answer back. Or the part that I don't like is that my operating system is now always asking me, when I open up install a new app that's now AI enabled, whether it's an Apple system or Adobe's the other one that's doing a bunch of this stuff. Is it okay if we monitor your other apps so we can gather information? Is kind of the way it's phrased. Like, hell no.
Yeah, exactly. Can we take a picture of your face and your surroundings and your
and all of your computer activity, all your data and all your writing? And I'm like, no, No,
The
no.
privacy issues are certainly a big factor in all this and stuff. So
Yeah, well, that
we
might be
won't get into,
that might be a topic for
really.
another day. But if you can still find one of the old cast iron washing machines, I'd love to see a picture of it because
Yeah.
and if it's still working, you get a gold medal. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'd be surprised, but
Well,
it might.
ask. We can ask. We got a lot of pretty savvy listeners out there, and they appreciate good
Well,
reliability. So
I would agree. A simpler system is going to be probably a more reliable system. So
yeah,
definitely, the cast iron washer was a much simpler than today's modern electronics.
yeah.
I mean, modern washing machines,
With
and
all the now they have touch screens on it and all kinds of
touch screens, displays, probably Bluetooth,
well, you can
things
even
like that.
program what the sound is when it's done. You can have it play different songs for you.
Yeah,
so connect it to your
that's
phone.
like the LCD screens on your refrigerator.
Yeah.
Where you can see inside the refrigerator, or you can watch a
And
television show.
it has a barcode reader, so you can inventory inputs and
What's in,
outputs
yeah,
to it and
yeah.
stuff like that.
You
Right.
might find that useful.
Yeah, I'm sure they're selling those.
My refrigerator would still be stuffed to the gills. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
But anyway, if you're listening to this and you know of, a product that's been designed and it was designed well and it's still around and still for sale, and some marketing guru hasn't decided to put a flat screen on it and jazz it all up for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear about it, but what are your thoughts? Do products need to last long enough, or do they just need to last and build a reputation? What's the trade-off there? And there's always one there.
I'd love to hear from anybody in any company that says that it would reveal that yes, that there was a decision made that this would have the product last too long, so we made the part with less life in it. Okay.
Oh yeah, you got to hear.
I want to hear that
podcast. You got to hear Diana. She told two stories, or one story from her father, exactly on that.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll leave a trailer there to go listen to a previous episode with Diana. And I think it was on Planned Obsolescence was the title of it.
Okay.
But anyway, more to listen to, and I think when this gets posted, Kirk, it will be partway into January. So I don't think I recorded. Happy holidays and Happy New Year. When this comes out, it'll be in retrospect, but hopefully your New Year starts off well and everything's going well.
Well, so far so good.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Kirk.
All right. Take care.
Soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to Speaking of Reliability. We invite you to join the conversation. If you have a question or a topic that you think we should discuss in a future show, please let us know. You can find a comment box below the episode show notes, or just leave a note as part of a review on iTunes.